Hello, in this video I'll show you how to edit and color grade this very photo in Photoshop. And in case you find the video useful, simply hit the like button as you're watching and don't forget to subscribe. And in case you want to download this image to follow along, simply check the link in the description of this video to download the raw image to follow along with this very tutorial as we learn and understand how to edit this very photo. So the very first thing after importing the image in Photoshop is simply I'll crop the image. So I'll just crop in the image a little bit like that and crop out the distractions. So I'll just simply move it towards this side and just crop it in a little bit. So I feel like that is about right. So after that, I'll simply hit enter or return to approve the crop that I've done to this very image. So I'll just move it down a little bit and hit enter or return to approve the crop settings that I've just committed to this very image. So after cropping the image, I feel like it is a little bit too much on one side, so I'll just crop it up a little bit, to try to get it in the center. Hit enter or return. So after cropping the photo, the next step is going to be working on the skin retouching. So in order to do skin retouching, we are simply going to use frequency separation. And as you know, frequency separation is going to divide the image into colors and textures. So just come to the background layer and create two layers by pressing Ctrl J, or you can use Command J twice. Name the middle layer to color and double click to rename the upper layer to texture. And after renaming these layers, come to the color layer and select it. Hide or turn off the texture layer. Simply come to filter, blur, come to Gaussian blur, and it's going to bring up the Gaussian blur window. And take the radar slider all the way down to 0.1. Click on an area you feel has more skin details on the skin and drag up until a point whereby you're just starting to close out on the skin details. So at about 6, that is when I'm just starting to close out on the details. I'll select the color layer and now activate it. Then come to image and come down to apply image. Then the source is the name of the photo that we're editing in this case. Layer has to be color. Channel has to be RGB. Blending, we're going to be using a blending of add. The scale is 2, offset 0. The reason as to why we are using a blending of add is we are editing a 16-bit depth image. We have 16 right here. The scale is 2, offset 0. And simply turn on the invert option and click OK. Change the blend mode from normal all the way down to linear light. And the image is now separated into colors and textures. So we're just going to group these two layers and press Ctrl G, or you can use Command G on the keyboard to group these two layers. So Command G to group them. And after grouping these layers, open up the group and select the color layer, turn off the texture layer and come to the brushes, right click and get the mixer brush tool. And for the settings, make sure clean brush is selected. And the second option, that is clean brush after each stroke, is selected. Then the weight is 9%, load is 75%, mix is 90%, flat 100%. Make sure sample all layers is not turned on or is not checked in this case. So we just want to start blending the skin tone transition. So mix the midtones alone, highlights alone, and the shadows alone. And how to mix, you simply click and hold down and you drag to blend. So in case you're using a graphics tablet, simply use the stylus or pen to draw as you're painting on the skin. So mix the highlights alone, midtones alone, and the shadows alone. And as you can see, I'm not zoomed all the way in, because when you zoom all the way in, you can't see the uneven skin tone transitions to blend them even better. So make sure you don't zoom all the way in. You retouch your photo at a distance. And by the way, to increase or reduce on the size of the mixer brush tool, you can use the open and close square bracket keys on the keyboard. So I'll just come right here and reduce on the size to blend on a small area. So you have to move the brush strokes depending on the direction of a given area. So you can see this area is moving in this direction. So that is how I have to move my brush in a given direction. So I'll just blend like that. So blend the tones. So when it comes to the nose, just get a very small brush and start blending the dark areas of the nose just like that. and come to this other side of the nose and continue blending just like that. And also get a small brush and blend in between the eyebrows just above the nose. So after blending those areas, you're just going to come to the other areas. So in case you're blending a small area and you're not really going to be perfect blending, slightly zoom in by using Command plus on the keyboard, or you can use Control plus on the keyboard, and you continue blending those specific or particular areas. So I'll just reduce on the size and blend right on the nose. Remember, we are now blending the transitions between the skin tones or skin color, so that at the end of it all, we can create or have even skin tone transitions for our model or for our subject in this case. So we shall do this just like that. I hope you can see what we have right now. So right now we are done with the face area. We're just going to come to the lower part of the body and blend the skin tone. So you can see we have varying colors in the skin area. So I'll just use a very small brush to blend the lower part of the body. Remember, skin retouching involves working on the skin in the overall photo or in the overall image that you're trying to edit or work on. So I'll reduce on the size and I blend these midtones alone and this highlight on the collarbone just like that. And as you can see right now, the skin is turning to look a little bit smooth. So you're just going to come to these other areas of the neck and continue blending. So you can see how easy it is to use the mixer brush tool to blend the transitions between the skin tones of our model or of our subjects. When it comes to the armpit, I'll just blend those areas. Don't mind about the color inconsistencies because we are going to be handling that later on. Remember, this video or this tutorial is about skin retouching and color grading. So we just want to create even skin tones or even skin color for our model skin. So I'll blend those areas just like that. So reduce on the size and blend right here below her chin. Then come to the hands. Don't forget or ignore the hands because they also have skin. Mix these shadows alone and mix the highlights alone. And where these colors are transitioning from one color to another, I'll use a very small brush and blend that transition. So I'll do this for the rest of the hands or the arms of the subject. So I'll blend like that. Continue blending. Reduce on the size and blend these small areas like the fingers in those particular areas. So this is what we have right now. And by the way, you can even edit with this texture layer turned on in case you really trust your site or your vision or your visual capabilities. So the purpose of turning it off as we're blending is because we didn't want to have any kinds of distractions regarding the skin tones. That is why we just turn this off to see where the tones are not transitioning quite well, and we blend those given or specific areas. So after blending, just come back and turn on the texture layer and activate it. So you can see this is the before, after, before, after, before, and after. Right now, the skin is now looking smooth, and we have as well retained the skin details or skin textures in this very image. So in case you want to even perfect the areas that you may have missed out when you're using the Mr. Brush tool, you can come and get the lasso tool and make sure new selection mode is active with the feathering of about 20 pixels and anti-alias is selected. We just want to select on the skin area. So how to select? Click and you move to draw a given selection, but keep eye from the eyebrows, the hair, and some edges of the subject. Then come to filter, blur, and come to Gaussian blur. So this is going to bring up the initial Gaussian blur radius that we had for our frequency separation. Just multiply this radius by 3 and type in the value. So 6 by 3 is 18. So for whichever radius that you may have used for your photo, just multiply that radius by 3 and type in the value. Or you can as well manually move this slider up to a point whereby you are just starting to see skin tones that look natural and appealing to you. So I'll just type in 18. So 6 by 3 is 18. And to deselect, click out from the active selection. So you're just going to make these tiny selections, filter, blur, and come to Gaussian blur, and click OK. Then you're going to come to this other side of the face and continue, filter, blur, come to Gaussian blur, like that. So this is going to help us fine tune some of the areas that we may have missed out as we are trying to, or as we were trying to use the mixer brush tool to blend or even out the skin color transitions. So this step is only effective for the face area because other areas of the body usually don't have as much as the textures. So filter, blur, come back to Gaussian blur and click OK. We're going to come this other side of the nose. So for the nose, only apply it on the dark areas of the nose. Don't apply it or don't select the whole nose because this is going to make the nose look big and flat than it was meant to be. So we are done with the skin retouching before, after, before, after. So it is time to remove the pimples or blemishes from the model's skin. Select the texture layer because the texture layer is containing or contains the textures. So pimples are part of skin textures. So select the texture layer, come and get the clone stamp tool, or you can simply press S on the keyboard to select the clone stamp tool. And for the settings, make sure the hardness is set to 0, the mode is set to normal, opaque at 100%, flow at 100%, and make sure aligned is checked and the sample is set to current layer because we want to remove pimples or blemishes that are part of the currently selected layer. So to remove these pimples, we are simply going to zoom in slightly, or you have to zoom all the way in to see the pimples. So to remove these pimples, for example, this pimple in this area, increase on the size of the clone stamp tool by using the square bracket key on the keyboard and simply hold down option and left click on a clean area near the pimple or the blemish. Option, click on a clean area near the pimple or the blemish and release the option key. For Windows, it is alternate and simply left click or click over the pimple or the blemish to cover it with clean skin. So this is what we have to do. Keep on holding down the option key on the keyboard because these pimples or blemishes are located in areas that have different skin tone colors and you don't want to paste skin color from one area to another because these areas are going to be containing varying or various levels of colors. So you're just going to sample and paint quickly. So take your time as you're doing this because you don't want to leave out any blemishes or skin imperfections on the model's skin. So take your time as you are clearing and removing all these blemishes using our clone stamp tool. So you're basically copying and stamping skin or clean skin over the pimples or blemishes, and in that way the blemishes are going to be covered, hence removed from the model's skin. So to remove a line, just draw, sample and simply click and draw above that line following the direction. So I'm just going to use Command minus to zoom out. So you can even zoom in, keep on zooming in and out to see or identify those areas that have all these blemishes or pimples or skin imperfections in your photo. So Command minus. So you can even come to the lower part of the body and remove all these tiny pimples or blemishes that are existing on the lower part of the body. So you can even come to the armpit and keep on sampling and removing all these tiny hairs from the armpit, just like that. Simple. So editing is this simple and enjoyable in case you do everything according to how you learned it. So right now we are done with the skin retouching. So let's close this. You can see the before, after, before, after, before, after. We have as well retained the original skin details in the model skin. So right now, what do we want to do next? We simply want to even out skin color or skin tone. So we are going to create a stamp visible layer by pressing Shift Option Command E on the keyboard, that is for Mac. Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard, that is for Windows, to create a stamp visible layer. Then simply come to select and come to subject. The reason for selecting the subject is because for this step we just want to paint on the skin without having color to spill to the background. Then come to the empty layer icon and create a new layer and simply change the blend mode from normal and change it all the way down to color. And after changing it to color, come to the brushes, right click and get the brush tool. And for the settings, make sure soft round brush is selected. The mode is set to normal, opacity in the flat 100%. So we're just going to sample a color on the skin that we want the rest of the model's skin to look like. So to sample that color, we are going to hold down the option key on the keyboard, alternate for Windows, option and click, option and click, option and click on that area. And after sampling that color, you can see it is displaying under the color swatches. So after sampling that color, it is time to start painting over the model's skin. So I'll do this quickly, just like that. So paint on each and every area on the model's skin and make sure that each area has been painted. So, and you can see by just doing this in some of the areas of the image, we have managed to create nice and even skin tones. Don't mind in case you paint away from where you are meant to paint, because we can always come back and correct or rectify those particular areas. So you can see we are now trying to eliminate this kind of yellow tones that were existing initially on the model's skin. So we're just going to quickly paint, command minus, and increase on the size in case we want paint on a bigger area, just like this. So just look at the armpits. Right now we are painting over the armpits, and you can see it is now creating even or uniform skin tones, even for the armpits that we're having some kind of dark discoloration. So we shall keep on painting on the hands or every area that has skin, and by just doing this we are eliminating all those yellow tones that were existing on the model's skin. So keep on doing this. And by the way, to be precise, you have the liberty to zoom all the way in and ensure that you have painted each and every area. So you can even reduce on the size of the brush and simply paint on a very tiny or small area in case you want to paint on that small area. So you can see right below here, I'll paint those areas. So right now we are done painting on the most of the areas of the skin, and this time around we are simply going to perfect or correct some of the errors that we may have done or committed during this painting process. Get the eraser tool and make sure the mode is set to brush, opacity at 100%, flat 100%, and simply come and start painting over the areas that you feel were not to be painted, using this very step for the color grading. So paint away from the makeup or particular areas of the model's skin. So press Command D, or you can press Ctrl D to deselect the active selection. So you can see this area had this nice teal blue look. So you can press Ctrl D or you can press Command D to deactivate the active selection. So right now the skin looks nice, even and uniform. And this is the before and after so far. But this is not all. We are going to come to the opacity and reduce on the opacity so that it can look a little bit more natural. Then we are going to come to hue and saturation. And first of all, come to where you see the master and simply, I feel like it is leaning more towards the orange side. So I'll just come and move it towards the red side. I feel like -1 is okay. And after that, we're going to come to the reds and scroll down to where you see lightness and take down the lightness slider up to when we feel like the skin is looking better and a little bit more realistic. So around negative 14. Yeah, -14 looks great. It looks okay. So after I have done this, the next step is going to be coming and creating a black and white adjustment layer. Change the blend mode from normal to multiply, and this is also going to add more contrast to the model's skin. So I feel like 7 looks okay. So after this, we can simply come and create another selective color adjustment layer, and come and target the blacks and simply take up the cyan slider of the blacks, and this is going to slightly intensify on the blacks and make the blacks a little bit more cinematic. Then we can even come and manipulate the white background. So let's try to manipulate the white background. We're going to create an independent selective color adjustment layer, then come to where you see white, select the whites because the background is white. So we're going to play around with these sliders to see what works best for us. Shall even come to the magentas and come to the yellows and see what is going to be working for us. So I feel like this, moving this towards the magentas, is going to make the image stand out even more. Then you can even come to the blacks and you play around with the black slider. I feel like this looks beautiful. This looks great. And it matches with this original or initial teal look on the model skin before after. So simply come the opacity in case it is too much and reduce on the opacity so that it can look a little bit real and realistic. So we are going to now whiten the eyes of the model. So simply come to the adjustments, then create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Come and measure master is selected. Come to the saturation and simply take down the saturation of the image to around -79. With this white layer mask selected, we are going to press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Come to the brushes, right click and get the brush tool, and make sure you have black and white on these two color swatches. In case you don't have black and white, simply press D on the keyboard, or you can click on the tiny color swatches. So for this, we're just going to paint using our white brush in the area of the eyes we feel should be white. So I'll paint in the eye area just like that. And this is going to whiten the eyes of our model or the eyes of our subject. And for this kind of accessory that was added, you can even play around with it and desaturate it and also paint it so that they can look a little bit white, just like this, and remove all these other random colors that are existing on them. So I'll quickly paint on these tiny accessories, and you can see this makes the image look even better than where we started. So color grading is very important when it comes to editing photos and contributes over 70% to the overall look of your photos or to the overall look of your images. So make sure you understand how to do this, and your photograph is going to change to a whole new level. So after doing the eye whitening, in case it's too much, ensure to calm the opacity and reduce it to your liking. So we're just going to add a little bit of skin glow or skin shine to the model skin by coming to adjustments, then coming to curves. And for the curves adjustments, come and click on this right hand pointer and drag it towards the left hand side until when you feel like the highlights on the skin are getting a little bit overexposed, then come and right click on the curves layer and come and select blending options. So for the blending options, it is going to open up the layer style dialog box. Make sure under blend, if make sure it is set to gray, and come to where you see underlying layer. Click and hold down and you drag these sliders towards the right hand side and stop at the point whereby only the highlights of the model skin are affected. Hold down the option key on the keyboard, or you can hold down the alternate key on the keyboard and click on the right hand pointer option and drag this towards the right hand side up to when the effect is blending well or better into the model skin. So click OK. Then with the white layer mask selected, press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect and get the brush tool, the normal brush tool, opacity at 100%, flat 100%, and just simply paint on the areas of the skin that you want the effect to be prominent or to show. So I'll paint on those areas to create skin glow or skin shine to the model skin. So after painting on the skin area, you can even come to the mask properties and feather this in even more so that it can blend well into the skin. So you can say before, after, before, after. In case it's too much for your liking, ensure to come to the opacity and reduce on the opacity so that it can blend and look a little bit more natural. So in case you're still finding the image too orange for your liking, create another hue and saturation adjustment layer. Come to the reds. Remember to eliminate oranges from skin tones. Under hue and saturation, we target the reds and come to the lightness and reduce on the lightness of the reds, just like that, so that the color can look a little bit natural enough and not overdone. So I feel like that is okay. So this is what we have been able to achieve. So let me show the before and after for this. So this is the image initially, before, after, before, after, before and after. So let's save or export this very image. Simply come to File, Export, and come to Export As, and it's going to open up the Export As window right here in Photoshop. And make sure the format is set to JPEG, quality is set to the maximum, which is 7 for this case. Under resample, make sure it is set to bicubic sharper. Then scroll down to where you see color space. Make sure convert to sRGB and embed color profile have been checked, and click on export, and look for where you want to save or export the image and click on save. So this is how you can edit a photo in Photoshop from the start to the very end regarding skin retouching and color grading. And if at all you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe in case you have been watching and you are not a subscriber to this channel. Ronnix from ronnixphotography. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in yet more videos on this channel. Don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.